You know, I was originally going to skip out on this video. I've played this game for 50 hours and streamed it every day in the 6 days that I've had it before its official release. Suffice to say, I recommend this to most people. But there's one core part of the game that I fear some people might not like. There's some other issues, but there's really just this one kind of big core one to me. I'm not one of those people who dislikes it, but you might be. And as a content creator, I have the potential to severely influence your initial opinions, and you might buy the game without actually knowing if it's the right fit for you. I want to hype this game up, but I also want to be fair and give it some critiques. Unfortunately, I'm doing this quite late. It's 2 AM as I write this script, 3 AM as I read it, and 4 AM as I finally get this ready for YouTube, and probably like 5 or 6 as I publish this. This means that my critiques and my praises won't be as in-depth as I would like them to be, but I still hope this gives you a general idea of what you can expect, what you should be wary of, and what you should look forward to in the game. Now then, let's start with the biggest negative, just so we can get that out of the way. Scale. You start between two towns, Ela and Whittier. You also get access to the Connolly logging bridge. This is really good because in my first in-game day, where all you do is learn the basics through the tutorial and run a passenger train between Ela and Whittier, took me an hour and a half to complete. My second day, where I had actual jobs to do, took me 3 hours. And mind you, this time was not spent sitting around waiting for the day to end or something. There is a button that lets you skip straight to the next morning when your interchange is served and you get new jobs for contracts you signed on for. And this was just days 1 and 2. Day 3 was only 2 hours long, it was a little bit shorter, but progression in this game takes time and patience. Fortunately, you can save your game at any given time, so if you don't have 3 hours to play this in one sitting, don't worry. Just know the days will get longer as your railroad expands and you pick up more contracts. But that is a good segue to bring me to one of my positives about the game. While it does take a long time to do everything you may want to do, once you feel your railroad has enough jobs for you to handle, you don't have to go for any more. In fact, you can just stop taking contracts if you don't like doing them, if you didn't like doing them. At least, for the most part, the team track contracts are required, but those are generally tiny jobs that only happen every other day at worst. For the bigger industries, you can just skip them. But this does lead me to another potential problem. If you want to get a new engine quickly without selling your 2 starter locomotives, you have to pick up a bigger contract at a bigger industry, and the only industry with a truly substantial size at the beginning of the game is the Whittier sawmill. I picked up a tier 3 contract with the sawmill, and it made me around $4,000 a day, which is pretty good. I would have been able to buy a slightly bigger engine within 2 to 3 days. But it wanted me to provide the sawmill with 15 car loads of logs per day, meaning I would have to run up and down the Connolly branch 4 times a day if I just used the log cars the game gives you at the beginning of the game. Don't worry, you can easily buy around 4 more with the starting money to ease that pain, but that's still 2 trips of just logs up and down the Connolly branch. The Tier 3 contract, however, was something I could only pick up after my first day. The tutorial both taught me how and encouraged me to pick up some contracts, but since the tutorial ended on the first day, I only got the chance to try out Tier 3 contracts once my Tier 1 contracts had expired. Which, well, now that I think about it, is probably a good thing. You're getting used to the game and you're still learning what you want to do with it and what you might want to do less. Tier 1 contracts are the shortest and easiest to complete, so as long as you just try those out before taking on something more ambitious, you should find your footing. And it's not like the lower tier contracts and smaller industries are bad. Sure, you make less money off of them, but you also get to skip to the next day much faster because you have less work to do, meaning you both get to do each individual job more often and get paid more frequently. This is where I think Railroader is at its best. When you have a variety of contracts to make you use the most out of your network, keeping you moving from town to town. Just make sure you expand over time. It's not that hard to do. The line to Bryson requires some car deliveries, but is otherwise cheap, and the line to Silva is expensive, but takes no extra effort on your behalf, so don't stay stuck in just Whittier and Ela if you go down this route. Try to expand when you get the chance. My next concern for the game is just how much there is to learn. You need to know how to run your engines, how to refill them, how to re-rail cars and locomotives, how to handle air brakes, how to manage a waybill, how to sign on to more contracts, how to throw switches. And that's just the stuff you need to know to play the game. Each piece of this puzzle individually isn't that bad, but together it can be a bit of a headache for a beginner. And the current tutorial is just a wall of text. It's not a bad wall of text, honestly, but it makes me think that I should make a video tutorial series to help anyone who might have dyslexia or just a generally hard time reading. It's a lot to get through. If you do have the patience for the tutorial, though, I do think it tells you all you need to know. However, I don't think it reinforces those ideas all that well. The one case I remember the best is re-railing your train. I derailed on a curve that was supposed to be for around 35-mile-an-hour speeds by going around 45 miles per hour. That was my bad, but the frustration came when I just could not remember the hotkey to help me re-rail. I got that information from my YouTube stream chat, and I'm sure you could get help from the Steam forums or Railroader Community Discord, but it would be nicer if I could have just remembered this from the beginning. Maybe there could have been like a derailed passenger car at the end of the tutorial to help remind you what you needed to do. But once you do know how to play this game, oh my god, I cannot sing my praises for Railroader enough. Handling the locomotives and cars is kind of complicated, but it's complicated to a point where it is fun, but not so complicated that it's frustrating. The ways you serve your industries are engaging and keep giving you mild variations of familiar patterns to make you feel at home, while keeping things fresh at the same time. The track layout provides fun challenges while not being overly complicated. And while the tracks are set in stone, basically nothing else is. It's all up to you. You get to pick what industries you can serve and how much you serve them. You can run with your caboose at the front or back of the train, or just run without a caboose if you'd like. Don't like the starter engines? Sell them. Buy a new one. Don't like your engine numbers? You can renumber them. Want a more colorful locomotive? Well, okay, we can't do that just yet, but you can if you buy a diesel. Not quite as exciting as a steam engine, but you can technically do it. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to give this game justice. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to give this game as much hype as I truly have for it. It's late. I can't really put all of my thoughts into words. So instead, let me remind you, I have played this game for around 50 hours over the last 6 days. I did a 10-hour live stream. And despite the fact that I have these complaints and concerns to levy against the game in its current state, and that I encountered a whole bunch of bugs thanks to getting the game around a week ahead of schedule, I still recommend this game with flying colors. If you're somebody like me who finds the logistics of switching trains appealing, Railroader is a perfect game for you. It's at a nice difficulty stage where it's not too simple but not overly hard. It's somewhat calming with a laid-back pace, and I don't know, it just feels right to me. and it's only entering early access today. I'm sure we'll see this game improve as time goes on. For example, there's not many buildings on the map right now, and the few that do exist are mostly placeholders. We already know that the dev team is going to be working on this as the game progresses into its finalized state. Or, I should say, not even finalized, its initial release state. Anyways, it's late. I need my sleep. You should totally buy the game if you're interested in it. Thanks for watching. Cheers, everybody.